My body said, listen, this girl is not going to take any decision. Let us do the bit for her. My husband, or going to be husband, ran away. And there is no right and wrong. We were two right people, who were trying to make a might.
And do you have any advice for people who might be like going through a rough phase in their relationship? Hello and welcome to Love Handle, a series where we get unfiltered about love and relationships. At Verona, we believe that we need to represent different kinds of relationships. And while successful relationships teach us so much, the ones that don't work also provide us with a different perspective. Today, we have our guest with us, Khushbu. Thank you for joining us. So, a little background about Khushbu. She got married at 22, but after 2 years of being married, things didn't really work out and she got divorced at 25. But she gave love another chance and now she's in a very loving and fulfilling marriage. So, hello, Khushbu. Welcome to Love Handle.
Thank you.
So Khushbu, talking about your first marriage, what were some of the insights that you got from it?
I think the first thing was that I was not listening to myself. When we don't communicate to the extent that just how love is expressed, not through words, sometimes by shaking hands, by cuddles, by holding hands. That's how you also express frustration, right? And sometimes those leave scars way beyond, what you can physically see, right? I think my mind was so involved in covering up for the stories of those wounds and, those scars and those unexplained injuries that I think I stopped listening to my heart at that time. And I was in denial. I wanted, the society to know that, okay, everything is okay and everything is fine. And sometimes in that process, even things that are not normal are explained and accepted to be as normal. Like, oh, you know what? There was a fight in the marriage. That happens everywhere. Come on, that's fine. But that's not fine, right? And I wanted myself accepting that it's normal and I can come out with it.
Yeah. So was there like a moment when it was like, okay, this is over, or was it just like something that grew over time?
This is funny. I think I was so much in denial that I think my body said, listen, this girl is not going to take any decision. Let us do the bit for her. I realized that I had a lot of medical conditions because of that. I was, hospitalized, and my doctors and my reports did the work for me. So, when that happened, I realized, oh, now I know. I had unexplained fevers. I used to panic a lot. Let's just say I was a combination of Ross and Gunther together, right? And that was something that was not going well. That's when I realized that this wasn't me and I need to step up. But, then you come out of it in different ways that you want. You talk about, I think that is something that gives you strength. When you realize, when you accept, that gives you strength. That, okay, listen, this is where we are. Let's talk about that.
Even after you decided, okay, this is not working, like India as a country, divorce is a taboo. Was the decision difficult for you to actually separate and then get, a divorce?
It was very, very difficult to explain families to start with. It was very difficult. Coming from a family where my parents still hold hands when they go out for a walk. For them to accept that this is not working out, it wasn't easy. However, they saw how it was affecting me. And I think in the larger scheme of things, they felt it is so much better to have a daughter who's healthy, happy, than one who's just married. So,
and Khushbu, you gave love a second chance. How was that journey for you?
I don't think I gave love a second chance. It's like, a child who's craving for a candy and he's sad because he didn't get one. Now gets that candy. I was that. But again, having said that, it wasn't just love from a particular person. We've all seen that journey where we grow up and our parents are there. For me, I saw my parents taking care of me as a baby when I was 25. I was struggling, right? I saw love there. I saw love in friends who came forward, helped me like I was a child learning how to walk. So I was open to love and it came from all sides and everyone.
I think it's so important to have the support system.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So your current husband, how did you meet him?
Okay, this is also very interesting. I was done meeting people through my family who liked me or wanted to meet me because I was so-and-so's daughter, or who probably shared a cookie with me when I was 3 years old and wanted to laugh on the same joke again and again. I genuinely wanted to meet somebody who knew me through me and, knew me through a story I told them. So I took to, a dating platform. It was an online platform. And I remember clearly my husband, his profile said, do you want a party? And at that point, mine said, rum and raisin cookies are the reason I don't trust people. because they look like chocolate chip cookies. And we, instantly started talking. And that's how I actually decided to, venture into the territory again.
What did you do differently in this marriage?
I think I was my worst best. The first time I met my now husband was in a tracksuit, and we spoke about which momo stall was better than the other. We debated about that.
Yeah.
We spoke about things like casual banter on things that didn't matter, that were not of any sort of political or strategic importance to anybody. But I realized that's what brought us together. I was my messy best. I'm an amazing chef, but I'm the messiest. And I ensured the kitchen was always dirty when I left, as if a storm had just come by. But my back then boyfriend, now husband, saw it and decided that, okay, this is the mess I have to live within. Well, here we are, a messy couple.
So you didn't really try to portray a different picture or try to be your best self just to impress somebody.
We didn't want to marry. Like when we met, I had tasted the marriage, experience. And for him, he said, no, how? Why? And we never met with the intention to get married. I think it was over the time that we became such best friends. I mean, I don't know any Shah Rukh Khan fans here, but pyar dosti hai, right? So we met and we figured out, look, if we don't get married, there is a potential that either of us are going to get married to someone else. So before that happens, let's just block the person. And we just blocked each other. And I think right now we're just blocked for each other.
And how did things change from being friends to being married?
Okay, this is interesting. Again, first meeting, tracksuit. After that, we were in a long distance, because we're a calendar couple. We still are.
So what do you mean by calendar? Being a calendar
So we block
couple?
each other's calendars because we're in a long distance relationship. Even now, he works in Dubai, I'm here. And we block each other's calendars for important things, even if they're not important. And I know he's coming here maybe for one day. I would try to make that day as important, as special it can be. Sometimes it's so confusing because both of us want to make it special. And the speciality of the specialness of the special day, because both are trying, is really not special. But well, I remember I used to go to the airport every time he used to come, to a point that if I didn't go and I wasn't standing at that spot, it wasn't a surprise for him, it was a shock for him.
Yeah.
And I remember making calls only because I wanted to see him work. That's it. There were times I would be so low. I said, I know you're working. I just want to see you. And there were hours I would just see him and I would be working. He would be working. I think the time we realized that this is it for us, this was one Sunday. I was busy with some work and he messaged me, look, Sundays I work. I'm not a let's have a weekend person. I took out 4 hours for you and I need those 4 hours. And for me, I think that's when, I fell in love with him. I was like, okay, this man loves his work. I love my work. We're both a workaholic couple. And we realized that if he's so passionate about something like his work, I know how much he's going to invest in this relationship. For him, it was very different. It was very gradual. He said, for me, it was a glass. It was like a jar. Every time I met you, every time, we interacted, there was something new I discovered about you. And it was filling up, like 25% was filling up. And the moment it was 100, I knew it.
Yeah.
But there was no proposal. He didn't propose to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
There was no proposal. He didn't propose to me. He, in fact, proposed to my dad.
Oh.
Yes, he proposed to my dad. He said, look, I really, really love your daughter. But because of the experiences she had, probably she doesn't want to marry again. But I know, if I don't have her, she is going to be taken. So I need your blessings. And my dad came to me one evening. He's like, listen, that friend of yours, he wants to marry you.
But did you know that already, that he wants to marry you?
Well, we had discussed marriages.
Yeah.
But that was a joke in the sense that we would laugh at people who were getting married.
Okay.
We would talk funnily about I remember going for dates and we used to have this game where we used to look at people and be like, oh, see that couple, they're just ordering, they're just eating. That means they're married. But look at that couple, they're still talking. That means they're not married. We used to do that. And then I remember sitting down with him one day after my dad broke the news to me and I said, listen, do you want to be that couple who's just ordering food and eating? And he said, babe, I'm marrying you. I don't think I'm ever going to be that. So, let's just put a ring on it.
I think it's just a myth that marriage kills romance. Like if you're suited for each other and if your values and interests, everything matches, I think romance just never goes away.
Sometimes even if they don't match, it's the best match. I mean, I have learned so much about how a road can be constructed, how many beams are there in a particular construction site, or when there is a scaffolding, because he's a civil engineer and he loves to talk about his work. When it comes to my work, he has learned so much. And there are times that I don't think I'm interested in really knowing the material or the cement. I think I just love watching him talk. Right? And the same, he says, the passion with which you talk about your work. And I think we fell in love with that, and we still do. There are times, given that his work revolves around a lot of travel, there are times we're in locations we just cannot talk. And I know I have just those 15 minutes that he's going to call me in those 15 minutes. For me, my life stops for those 15 minutes, and I want to give it my best that time. And then every time he's back, till date, we're 4 years into our marriage, it's an event. It's a carnival for me. I want to do up the house in the best way possible. I want to ensure my dog is wearing new clothes. I want to ensure I cook the best meal. I want to invite all my friends over. I want my family to create like a gala dinner. I mean, for me, it's an event. And long distance, credit goes to long distance for that.
So you feel long distance has really helped you in keeping that spark alive in the relationship?
Absolutely. So I'd rather have 24 hours of quality time with him than 2 hours each day, knowing he has calls or he's disturbed because of something. I remember there were days I wasn't well and he would just fly down for 12 hours. He would take a morning flight, be there, and we did nothing. There was silence. We would just sit, look at each other, start laughing because it was so funny that we weren't talking, and then that's it. There were times I remember between flights, I only went and met him at the airport so we could sit together. Till date, even when, we are married, there are times we both have our laptops, we are both working, but we're just sitting next to each other. And that gives so much comfort to me and to him, just knowing that we are there.
Khushbu, let's talk about the wedding. How was the wedding?
There was no wedding, there was a function, there was a party, like till date. My husband calls it, that party we had. And I would tell him that was our wedding.
Yeah.
But we went to the court because we wanted to first register and then have a function. But when we reached the court, we thought it would take time. It would take a month. But for the first time, we realized when we went to the court with the same religion and we could get married, easily the very same day. And we got married and we just called home and told them. So it was really a party. We called in our families and, our friends. And we danced and it was a celebration of sorts. But yes, I have a dream that, I complete 5 years next year. I want to renew my vows. I want to have something of a sort of celebration to kind of celebrate that occasion.
Did you have a checklist while you were thinking of getting married? And did it change after your divorce, or were there a few things that you felt were not very important, but then they seemed really important in your relationship?
It's a human tendency. What we sometimes do is you try to, plug in things that you could not find in your previous relationship, right? However, in doing that, we forget that he was a different person and this is a different person. There was no checklist ever. Again, as I said, I wasn't even expecting this to happen. But I knew one thing, that I need someone to love me at my worst. Because I know everyone's going to be there at my best. That scene from Interstellar where Matthew comes back and his own daughter is almost the age of his grandmother, right? Talking to him so wisely. That phase when I came out of my first relationship, everyone around me, people younger than me, people who've never been married, everyone turned to me as an advisor, telling me, it didn't last because you didn't do this, or this didn't happen, or that didn't happen. But I realized it's not anything external, it's me. I knew the red flags. I was just delaying it by not accepting them. I had to raise that flag. I had to be honest to myself, and I had to love myself. I should not have been okay with someone not treating me the way I was being treated, right? And there is no right and wrong. We were two right people, who were trying to make a might, but it didn't happen, right? We should have realized that sooner so that we could have avoided the harm that happened. But this time around, I was sure that I want to be very realistic and I want to be absolutely open to letting someone know, look, I come in this new relationship, I come with a lot of medical history, I come with a lot of emotional issues, I do come with a baggage. Are you okay with that person, right? And when I got that reciprocation, I think it worked out.
So was it his second marriage or it was the first time he was getting married?
So while he was a first timer at marriage, but I think he was way smarter and wiser. You know, he once told me, you don't marry because you have to marry. You marry because you want to spend your life with someone you love. And he said, lucky for you, I haven't found that person yet. And, we're going to do it together. But given that I had done it once, I thought I was going to be the smarter one telling him, that's not how marriage works. It's not like dating. It's very different. You don't know. But then he just told me nothing changes except for the fact that we legally stay together and that our names would probably be printed together and I would officially be invited at all your family gatherings just like you would be for mine. And God, that man is so true. Like till date, nothing has changed. But I know that he is very empathetic in terms of there are times you're watching something on the television and he knows that moment I get transported back. He knows how to bring me back. And I think that's what, makes me feel that even though he had not experienced marriage before, I think he was way wiser in terms of understanding how emotions work.
So since you mentioned your interests are very different, do you have some core values that you share?
Yes. Value one really is to take chances, to take the leap of faith. And I think that's where this relationship is based out of. He took that chance with someone who was so scarred and who was so wounded. I took a chance with someone who was such a free nomad. And we were afraid initially to try new things, but together, we do that. Secondly, of course, we realize time commitment in a relationship is very, very important. Right? Long distance might just be one angle of it, but even when you're there, how do you make every moment count? So that's one thing that we keep very, very close to our relationship and we work constantly on that. Third thing is not just respecting each other, but also our families. He's very close to my family. I love the way he gets along with everybody in my family. He goes out of his way to do things for them. His family hasn't completely accepted me, but his family loves the fact that I respect their values, their traditions, and even if it is from the distance, but I'm always there, I'm always around as a pillar for the family. So these are things that together we've agreed upon that we work and constantly strive to make better for us.
So you just talked about his family not accepting you. How was the situation? When you broke the news to them, how did they react?
There was no reaction. There was radio silence. And I remember we decided we'll go to the court and we'll finally, make it official. He called up his family, his brothers said, we'll come down, don't worry. And it was a Navratri day, I remember. And my mother said, it's Navratri, it's a very good day, just go, your registration will happen. When we were there and we realized that we could get married, we rang back home and both my family was elated and they just said, just do it. And his mother said, well, do it. I just said that you ran away and did it. But yeah, my blessings. And then it happened. But it was the most beautiful marriage because for the food, we had McDonald's because that was the only thing we could order in at the court ceremony. The decorations were a red banner from someone else's background that we stole for a bit. And there was a lot of question and answer because I didn't know in a proper court setup they ask you questions. So it almost felt like coffee with Karan at that moment. And then while they say, okay, yes, you are happily married and everything, we were actually signing a lot of papers. So it almost felt like, signing a contract. But it was the most beautiful thing that happened because, by the end of it, we were chuckling. We were actually finding new things. And we had I had my brother, he had his brothers, and we were laughing about how things were happening. And it happened so smoothly. And I remember distinctly, it was raining that day. And we went outside and I just looked at him and I said, wow, we're married. And he's like, well, the sky's, witness to that. And we went to this weird thela there and we had bhutta together. And we were so happy. And he was like, listen, ideally we're supposed to do that picture, where you're feeding each other. So we did that. In fact, the interesting thing was also when we were going to the court, he was being driven by my brother and I was being driven by another cousin of mine. And there came a small patch where I couldn't reach him. His phone was not reachable. And I thought, my husband or going to be husband ran away. And I was like, finally it hit him. But then, well, he was standing there. So yeah, it was very interesting. And after that, we had a proper, celebration, so to say.
And do you have any advice for people who might be like going through a rough phase in their relationship?
Don't listen to people when they say it's okay, it happens. No. Even if it happens, it's not supposed to happen. The moment you feel this is not okay, or the slightest inclination you get that something is not okay and something's not fine, that's actually your heart trying to talk to you. Please listen. Be honest to yourself. Love yourself. Don't let it come to a point that your body, your senses, your mind has to tell you that it's not working for you. Be your own battle woman or battle man. Be your own soldier. Having said that, it's never the person. It's always the situation. So part in the most amazing way you could, so that tomorrow, when you meet, you still smile at each other. Because at the end of the day, you want to cherish the good memories and try to erase the bad ones and move on. We all fall from that bicycle once in a while. We don't stop, riding again. Or we fall when we're learning how to walk. We don't stop walking again. Please give love as many chances as you can.
Thank you, Khushbu. I just love that there's no hatred or there's no blame game when you talk about your ex. It's just two right people met at the wrong time, or the situations weren't right. I'm sure you have learned a lot from this video. So Bollywood and social media paint this rosy picture that your relationship has to be perfect. You meet your soulmate and everything is just problem-free, everything is just effortless. But I think it's about finding the right person, and even a court marriage with McDonald's can be perfect, because in the end it's about the marriage and not about the wedding. If you enjoyed the video, please like and share, and subscribe to Verona for more such content. Verona, matchmaking reimagined.